Dance is one of the most fundamental forms of the arts, involving a direct expression and experience of oneself through the body. It is a basic form of authentic communication, and as such, it is an especially effective medium for therapy. Dance and movement psychotherapy, or DMP, has been a distinct profession since the 1940s, especially with the establishment of the American Dance Therapy Association in 1966. DMP is defined by the American Dance Therapy Association as the psychotherapeutic use of movement as a process that furthers the emotional, cognitive, social, and physical integration of the individual. Dance and movement therapists work with individuals of all ages, groups, and families. They focus on helping their clients improve self-esteem and body image, develop effective communication skills and relationships, as well as create new options for coping with problems. Dance and movement therapists work in various settings that include schools, nursing homes, medical facilities, and counseling centers, among others. DMP is considered a potentially powerful tool for stress management and the prevention of physical and mental health problems. So far, DMP has been introduced to many nations around the world, including Asian countries such as Japan, South Korea, and recently Vietnam. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. Dance and movement psychotherapy, or DMP, has been developing in the world for more than half a century and has recently been introduced to Vietnam. It is attracting more and more attention as a new way for Vietnamese people to cope with the psychological challenges of the modern life. In our program today, we'll get to know more about DMP in Vietnam with Mr. Douglas Howard, a psychological counselor with years of experience in Hanoi. So hello, Douglas, and thank you very much for joining us today. Could you share some information on the people who often come to you for your service?
Someone told me once there's about 40,000 expats, Westerners who live in Hanoi. And so most of the people who come to me are English-speaking people from Europe or from the Americas or from Australia. These are people who are dealing with some kind of a problem. Something isn't going well in their life. They might have depression or anxiety or some conflicts with relationships. So they come to get support and to see if there's something we can do. Over the past few years, the number of Vietnamese, I call them clients, who come to see me has increased quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't yet speak Vietnamese, tiếng Việt. So they have to be able to speak English. But quite often it's people who have lived abroad, Vietnamese people who have lived abroad, and they come back and they want to talk to a Western psychotherapist.
Dance and movement psychotherapy is a relatively new concept for Vietnamese people. So how do you describe the nature of this therapy?
Well, therapy is divided into different groups, and what I do most of the time in doing psychotherapy is what we call talk therapy. So someone comes and we sit down and we talk about what it is that's going on. It usually deals with both the emotional and the thinking part of our psychology. The thing I like most about dance movement therapy is that it includes the body. And I would say that it's those three things, our emotions, our thinking, and our body or our senses, that make up the balance of a person's psychology. So we can approach it from any point, but I really like it when we approach it through the body. We feel things and hold those things in our body, and when we move, we discover what it is that it takes to understand ourselves and to make changes.
So what are the types of people that will benefit the most from a DMP?
Well, I would say there's sort of two groups. One are people who tend to be depressed. Okay, and so they are shutting down, they're withdrawing, they're not wanting to participate, and they're often not very present. And so when they become part of a group or a class, and they start to get into their body and move, they discover a different outlook, a different way that they feel. And it's very helpful for them to shift from the emotion they're feeling and the way they're thinking about it into their body, and the movement itself is therapeutic. So that's the group that represents people whose psychology is problematic. I would say the other group are people who are generally healthy, but they want to find ways to become their best self. They want to find ways to become creative, to explore options and potential that they don't explore when they're in their roles as a wife or worker or a father, or So that creative element, the element of exploration, can help people develop who they are, and particularly to overcome the fears about their own inhibitions. So that's the other group that I think is helpful.
From the end of August, a creative play course for children and their parents has been underway in Hanoi. The course is one of the dance and movement psychotherapy programs initiated by Bùi Tuyết Minh, a Vietnamese educator, since 2015. Minh had completed a dance and movement psychotherapy master's degree in the United States in 2014 under the American government's Fulbright Scholarship Program. Together with Douglas Howard and other partners, her dream is to popularize DMP in Vietnam to promote self-awareness, empathy, love, and peace of mind.
Mọi người có thể thấy rằng hôm nay là có cả bà ngoại đến nhé, có cả bà ngoại, có cả bố mẹ, rồi là anh chị lứa tuổi khác nhau, từ bé tận 3 tuổi đến bé 14 tuổi. Trong cái buổi ngày hôm nay ông bà nữa, nhưng mà mọi người đều hòa hợp trong từng điệu múa, trong từng ánh mắt với nhau, thì đấy là cái niềm hạnh phúc.
During the course, children are provided with a stress-free environment to play and interact with their parents. For the adults, this is a time to turn off their mobile phones, get away from the daily hustle and bustle, slow down and communicate with their children with their whole bodies. It's also an opportunity for the parents to experience their childhood again and relive the feelings of peace and joy, which have often become elusive in the stressful modern life.
Nói thật là ngày xưa mình rất thích nhảy múa, và đến khi mà tham gia buổi này đầu tiên, buổi ngày hôm nay thì là đúng là thực sự là mình chưa bao giờ như kiểu quay lại cái thời mơ ngày xưa là được nhảy múa ấy. Và phần quan trọng nhất là khi mà mình soi gương với con, là mình đã nhận ra rất là nhiều điều như các chị đã chia sẻ, tức là mình cũng trong bộn bề cuộc sống này thì mình cũng nên khi mà với con nên mình nên chậm lại một chút, như thế thì sẽ tốt hơn cho mẹ và con.
Có lẽ là có thể là một cái gì nó có một ngôn ngữ riêng và nó có một cái cách thức rất là riêng, nên khi chúng ta biểu đạt nó ra thì một cách rất là vô thức thôi, mọi thứ nó đều được giải phóng, và cũng là một cách để chữa lành cho những cái vết thương ở bên trong.
While you have been working with a number of Vietnamese people who participate in DMP sessions, so what do you think of their response to this therapy?
Thanks to Ming, who invited me to participate with her, we put together a group that has now been meeting for 4 weeks and will continue to meet. And all of these participants have come because they're curious and because they're interested in learning what is this. And it's quite interesting because We didn't start out with a big lecture and teaching them, okay, this is what you should do. We started out by saying, okay, here's a little bit of information. Now let's try it. And of course, one of the things that happens first is a person starts to feel uninhibited. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure how I should act. Tell me what to do. And part of the therapy is to overcome those inhibitions and relax and be able to say, oh, nothing you can do is wrong, just give it a try. Go into the mindset of a child and be playful. And I've been incredibly happy and honored to be a part of this group because I see each one of them opening up and trying new things and feeling comfortable when maybe they weren't comfortable before. And I find that their willingness is, it's heartening.
So could you just tell us one example or one story that you may think, maybe the most impressive to you?
Well, at the end of every session, we have a period where we check out, which means each person has an opportunity to reflect on what they just experienced and how it made them feel. And I remember very clearly one of the participants talked about how they had never allowed themselves to use a loud voice. And it was what they saw was that there was an invitation to try something, to try to discover a part of themselves that they had never dared to try. And so it touches on our own self-consciousness or our insecurities, and it gives people an opportunity to challenge those fears and to overcome those fears. So she felt so liberated because she was able to be very loud and very noisy and act in a way that she doesn't usually do it. And I think this one is a very good example.
What do you think of the need to expand DMP and other kinds of psychotherapy services in Vietnam to deal with the challenges of the modern life?
Well, I think that what psychology and psychotherapy and dance movement therapy has to offer is something that's beneficial everywhere in the world. That being human is difficult and fraught with problems and challenges. And I think the thing about therapy is it creates a place where people feel like they can open up and share the things that they might feel uncomfortable sharing. And so I think it's a really good match for Vietnam. It's the stresses that are coming with the changes really offer, there's an opportunity there for learning the ways in which people can find a psychological balance and a more peaceful way of functioning. Both through talk therapy, but also through the kinds of self-exploration that come from dance and movement therapy. Yeah.
Well, Douglas, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing valuable insights.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Well, that's all for our Sharing Vietnam today. We hope that DMP and other kinds of psychotherapy will be further expanded to offer more opportunities for Vietnamese people to enjoy peace and happiness. Thank you so much for watching and see you again next time.